Spider-Man, Spider-Man needs to do good or all will fail. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has huge stakes against it, and it needs to perform well for all of Marvel Animation. There's a lot riding on little Peter Parker's shoulders, and he's very tiny in this one. They really went the geek route in this one, looking like Milo Thatch from Atlantis. Marvel Animation has kind of been an experiment, in my opinion, in the Disney Plus realm, and I think Disney is going to figure out how they're going to use it, and I believe that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man will determine the next few years of Marvel Animation. And yes, I will be using the title Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man quite a bit in this video, so get used to me saying it. We had some good things come out of Marvel Animation, like the critically acclaimed X-Men 97 and What If, but Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is drastically different from both of those projects since it's entirely original. And when I mean original, obviously I know Spider-Man is IP. I'm not that dumb. But this show is not inherently connected to the MCU, and it's not connected to anything that Marvel has done before. It's technically canon and a part of the MCU, being a part of the multiverse, but that's just a cop-out. That doesn't count in my opinion. You can't just say everything that's been done before is a part of the multiverse when we haven't even seen the OG Captain America back yet. What If was heavily tied to the MCU. Most characters that we saw were already introduced to us in some way, shape, or form in live action, even bringing in some of the live action actors to voice their animation counterparts. I actually talked about this in a past video, self-plug time, where I discussed voice acting in animation and how there are more live action crossovers coming into animation in another video if you want to check that out. I think it'll be here. Or here. One of those. And X-Men 97 was a continuation of the original 1992 X-Men the Animated Series, but Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is not connected to anything done in the past, whether that be connected to the MCU or a past Marvel project. And just to cover my bases, because there's a lot of, people here, yes, there is I Am Groot, which was obviously connected to the MCU, and there also is Spidey and his amazing friends, but since that show is targeting like the 2 to 5 range, I'm not considering it a part of this discussion. So Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man will be Marvel's first truly original animated series, and if the show does well, maybe Marvel will make some other originals, but something tells me Disney is already a tad worried about this show. This show has taken quite a while to come out. It was initially announced back in 2021 at Disney Plus Day, and it originally was going to be called Spider-Man Freshman Year, and then each season was going to focus on 1 year of Peter's life. That was 4 years ago. Holy shit. Like, I know animation takes a while, but damn. It was also supposed to be about the early years of Tom Holland's Spider-Man and not this alternate universe, but that changed as well. And then in December of 2023, it was retitled to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it was just recently announced that the show won't actually be covering 1 year per season. So a lot has changed, but take all of it with a grain of salt because we have no idea what was actually happening behind the scenes of this project, and projects naturally change and develop as you create them. It doesn't mean that Disney was unhappy with it in its original form or anything like that, especially as Disney tries to figure out their Disney Plus strategy. For all we know, Disney wanted them to change things up and come to this conclusion. We just don't know. So I don't want to deal with rumors too much, We just don't know. But even if there weren't any problems in the development stage of the show, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man still has some very high stakes against it, being the first original series coming out of Marvel Animation. If this does well, and I really hope it does well, then hopefully Marvel Animation will really kickstart their animated television wing, because in my opinion, it's just an experiment right now. Animation does take a while, I'm not doubting that, I know firsthand about that, but they really haven't done too much. We got 3 seasons of What If over the course of 3 years, which was a fine show. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. I personally didn't like that all of them were supposed to be unconnected and then they just railroaded us back to being all connected. Like the whole show was supposed to be anthology, but whatever. Just take it as it is. And yes, they did give us X-Men 97, but only 10 episodes. What the fuck is going on in animation lately? Remember Saturday morning cartoons when there was so many of them and they all had 20 to 30 episodes a season? Fox kids would laugh in Disney Plus's face. And then we had I Am Groot. Very cute. Love that little guy. But who was that for and what was the point of it? There's no way that show made money, and they blew millions of dollars because it was entirely CGI, and they just created very tiny episodes. So how is that profitable?
How can that be profitable for Frito-Lay?
So they haven't invested too much into Marvel Animation given the very few shows and episodes we received, and I think Disney is waiting for the reaction to Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man before they pull any more creative triggers. So if this does well, and like I said, I hope it does do well, then Disney will likely want to make more shows like it with different takes on these characters and with drastically different animation styles, and not be afraid to push boundaries with these characters. It reminds me of how actual comics work, where you can have a ton of different takes on the exact same character, like with the new Ultimate Spider-Man, where Peter is 40 plus years old and is just now becoming Spider-Man. But if Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man does not do well, then Disney will probably be very lazy and tread back to what worked before. They'll likely go back to only having animated series being tied directly to the MCU, and that's just no fun. It's also worrying for originals in general because X-Men 97 did so well that there are already talks of reviving the 1994 Spider-Man, which would be cool. Not denying that, that would be very cool. Reviving series isn't inherently bad, but only relying on what works is. That's what got the MCU into this kind of dry state that we're in because they stopped taking risks and they're just delivering us the same old thing they've been delivering us.
You're joining at a bit of a low point.
I want animation and superhero animation to get back to where we once were, where we could make these cool animated shows that weren't necessarily tied to an ongoing series or an ongoing continuity, and they were able to do really cool shit and expand the brand rather than just fit inside this little tiny box. Remember X-Men Evolution? I sure did. Everyone remembers like the original X-Men animated series, but X-Men Evolution, that was my X-Men animated series. But if they had to be put inside a little box and they had to conform to what live action X-Men were doing or the past animated shows were doing, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to creatively take some cool swings. Without it, we wouldn't have had the character like X-23. Logan wouldn't have happened. Parts of Deadpool and Wolverine wouldn't have happened without this animated show. And Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man looks like it's going to take some pretty big swings. Hold on. Sorry. But it looks like it's going to take some big swings that are pretty original that we haven't seen yet in this character. I don't know if this is just in the trailer, but it looks like they're going to be playing around with it looking like a comic and having actual comic panels and Spider-Man swooping in between the panels. Kind of reminds me of Ang Lee's Hulk, but in a good way. They'll also be exploring a superhero in the social media era and see how a superhero might use social media, and I think that could be cool. Would love to see Spider-Man on a Twitch stream where he has to get enough donations to save someone. I also love that the annoying ass Screwball is going to be making content in this world. I can't wait to see more of her, even though she made my ears bleed in the Spider-Man game, which little Easter egg back there for you. It's also very bold to have Norman Osborn work with Spider-Man and give him a suit. This is all potentially cool, and if it does well, we might see some other potentially cool takes in different shows. But if it doesn't, I just see Disney going back to what they know might work. And next year for their animation department, it looks like they're already going back to what worked before with Eyes of Wakanda, which who knows? Maybe it's crazy, maybe it's cool, maybe it's something wildly different, but we do know that it's in the MCU or Marvel Zombies, which I'm excited for. It could be a very big swing for Marvel Animation. It's going to be TVMA. That's really cool. But it's also already connected to What If and the larger MCU. And if Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man does well, it doesn't mean that nostalgic shows or shows connected to the MCU will stop being made either. We can have both X-Men 97 and new takes like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I guess what I'm saying is please watch Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I would love for animation to come back and deliver us constant animated shows that have more than 10 episodes per season, or 4 episodes like Marvel Zombies has. Doesn't give me much confidence in that show. But Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man comes out on a weekly basis starting January 29th and will be airing multiple episodes on a weekly basis, and a second season is already on the way. So please check it out, and please let me know what you think about the show and what you think about Marvel Animation in the comments below. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos every single week detailing the film and TV business and analyze them, and I'd love to have you there. So if you subscribe, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.